Hello there. My first novel, A Knight of Ur, is now available on Amazon as an ebook. And here are 10 reasons why you shouldn't read my book. Reason number 1, genre mashing. While it is technically science fiction, it has overtones of fantasy and even Western in it. So it sometimes makes it a little hard to describe exactly what the tone or the progression of the story is. So you might have a hard time explaining to your friends just what is going on with the book. Number 9, world building. I have Wheel of Time-esque world building and subplot aspirations, but with none of the actual skills to pull it off. So while I try to keep the storyline tight, there's definitely some of that tension of really wanting to do that, but not being able to pull it off. Number 8, cryptic civilization notes. There's a lot going on the planet my story is set, and a lot of different cultures and regions that you don't get to see in the first book, and I will just sort of throw out references to them without any other explanation. So that might be a little frustrating if you want to learn about things right away and not have to wait for later revealing. Number 7, technical hand waving. There is a lot of lost technology that's explained in the book, but given that the people in the story don't really know how to it works, there's a lot of sort of hand waving of like, well, it just works this way. And of course, because it's a science fiction and these sort of technologies can't actually work in reality, otherwise they wouldn't be fiction. There's a little bit of that softer side of the science fiction that might not be as appealing. 6, too much taxonomy. I'm a biologist by trade, so a lot of my world building has flora and fauna in it that's maybe goes into too much detail or it sort of strains at the edges of sort of the details that you really don't care about. You just want to see the story progression. So you might be put off by some of the details of the taxonomy, like the animals, the plants that you maybe don't want to hear about. On the other side of things, number 5, not enough taxonomy. Maybe you're a huge speculative biology wonk. You really like that sort of thing. You really like your world building to have really detailed organisms. Well, I don't dive too much into it to make it a more readable story, but maybe you would really like that and you're going to feel a little dry. Number 4, overpriced words. I have a penchant for using a $5 word in a certain place where a $1 word would work just as well. Speaking of $5 word, number 3, penchant for pontification. My antagonist and even my protagonist have a tendency to pontificate, to give sort of grand speeches, whether externally or internally. That's just one of my quirks. Like I have a hard time not just writing things like that, even though that's not particularly good dialogue. So sometimes I indulge in that a little bit too much, or let myself get away with that type of writing. Continuing along the lines of writing and dialogue, number 2, mediocre dialogue. That's certainly when it comes to all the different points of a story, dialogue is certainly my weakest. I've really tried to work on it and clean it up and strengthen it, but definitely is, I would say, the thing I need to work on the most. And so sometimes the dialogue between characters might fall a little flat, despite my attempt to sort of boost it up. And finally, number 1, this is a series. So this is the first book in several books. So if you're going to have to wait, for subsequent books to get the whole story. So if it's not that great, you're like, okay, well, I finished this book and there's really no conclusion and I probably don't want to move on, so I'll never find out what happens. And even if you do like it a lot, you're going to, again, have to wait in anticipation for things to move on in the next book. There you have it, 10 reasons to not read my book. But after hearing those reasons, you're still game to try out the book. You can get it on Amazon. You know what? And heck, I'll even make the ebook free for the first 3 days, July 9th through the 11th. So you can pick that up after you burn through the pages like a literary firebrand. Why not leave a review? Doesn't really matter what it is as long as it's 5 stars. Thanks for joining me. I hope this was as interesting of a video to watch as it was to make. Later.